carb off now, which was very quick because the access is of course good. So now I think we'll have a go at whipping the head off as we're here, working in this area, because I want to lighten the load. So in the way at the minute of the head steady is this tube, which appears to be a breather of some sort, into the top of the frame, because it runs all the way to the back of the bike. I don't think that's going to cause us any problems gaining access. The loom is already been condemned, so I'm just going to cut that and give myself a bit more access. Thing about, tack it off. I'm going to cut on this side of the connectors. If you can see that, which you probably can't, let me just bring you around a little bit. I'm going to cut on this side of these connectors because there are sublooms going up to the headlight and things. I'm not entirely sure what you get with the new loom and whether you get them. So for the time being, we'll just cut the main loom out. And we can worry about the details later. Okay. These oil and frame A65s have got an additional head steady, which you can see up top here. I'm just waving the light around to make sure you can see what I'm pointing at, which is secured by 2 bolts on the rocker cover and 1 on the frame. So I'm going to go and find a spanner and we'll whip that off first and then investigate what else we need to do to get the rocker cover off. Right, a 1/2 inch on top, 9/16 on the bottom. So let's whip these out. Pre-loosen them just to make sure the wood come out, because there's no point. Let the carburetor strip. There's no point watching someone struggle needlessly. They weren't that tight anyway. Now, again, I don't want to question BSA, but wouldn't it have been easier if instead of having that sided all the way around, if they just curved it down there, so you had a flat spot with access to the bolt? It wouldn't make it any weaker and it'd make removal an awful lot easier. Strange. But there you go. Must be a bit harder for the assembly line workers as well, because unless you've got a very small ratchet or something to get in there, you haven't got a lot of room. Okay, that's it off, revealing an acorn type nut there and 4 what appear to be some sort of locking nuts in each corner. So let's go and get the socket set and get those off. Right, 4 outside ones, a 1/2 inch. Haven't checked the other ones yet. Take the tension off diagonally. I don't know if you have to, but it's always good practice, I think. And also, let's see what these little ones are. No, they're smaller. we can get the wrench in. Yes, you can. Awkward. Right. I'll just take the two small ones off, which have washers underneath. Not unexpectedly. Right, come back when I've taken the other four off. There's no point watching them come undone. We know what's going to happen. Right, the only thing of interest really is the two on this side of the bike, the left-hand side of the bike, came off as they should, as nuts with their washers. And the two on the right-hand side have taken the studs out of the head. Not that that matters, but something I need to sort out, I'm sure. I can't imagine they're meant to do that somehow. Okay, let's put these to one side. Hopefully, oh, there we go. The rocker cover will come off. Right. Along with the little washers. Okay. Well, it all looks remarkably good condition in there. Let me see if I can get a better angle for you to have a look yourselves. Hold on. Well, I hope you can see that a bit better now. Everything looks in remarkably good condition. All looks very clean. No sign of any damage anywhere. I'm quite pleased with that. I was expecting to see lots of crud and unpleasantness generally, as you find on all these old bikes, but that's remarkably good. So, the next thing I need to do is remove this oil feed pipe here at the back of the head, which is a far neater way of supplying the oil up to the rockers than the Triumph Bonneville I did. Very neat. I like that PSA. And then I'm going to have to look at the workshop manual, because, as I say, I'm no expert on BSAs at all. I've only owned a couple and no unit twins at all. So I'm going to have to look and check to make sure I'm not doing anything stupid before I start ripping into it. But the head bolts look nice and accessible, internally and externally. And they don't look like they've been off. The ones inside don't look like they've been off. But anyway, we shall see. So good, I'm happy. So I'll take that rear oil line off and bring you back when I come to take the head off properly once I've worked out what it is I need to do. Right, back soon. Right, need two spanners to undo this because there's another thing in the head. But what's peculiar is the range of fittings I'm coming across. This appears to be, according to spanner, 5/16 Whitworth. Because that fits to the best out of all the spanners I've got. Which, well, is still fitting Whitworth in 1979, or is my selection of spanners just rubbish? I don't know. Anyway, that's the feed line disconnected to the head. Just take it out of the way here for a second. Stop it flopping about. Right. Battery's running low. I'm going to knock you off now, and then the next time we come back, once I've looked at the workshop manual, we'll be taking the head off. I'll probably then also take the barrels off, protect the con rods, and then we'll take the clutch out. And everything on that side, alternator, no, yeah, yeah, it is. Alternator, all that sort of stuff off to lighten the load to get this lump out. So, back soon. Right, workshop manual consulted. It appears I've got to slacken off the exhaust. Yeah, that's right, exhaust adjusters. undo that, having removed the push rods, and then tap that shaft through there and remove the rocker arms, which will give me access to 2 cylinder head bolts which are hiding under there. So let's give it a go. Oh dear, tight. There we go. Right. Now, because I'm slightly paranoid, I'm going to just go and mark these up as I take them out, so I'm absolutely certain which one came from where. Right, so just really for my own sake, I've marked it front right, which it is, and then the arrow showing its orientation in that direction. So I'll know for sure which way they came out. Overkill? Quite possibly. I'll take the other one out and then we'll come back to removing the rocker shafts. We seem to be back to Whitworth again for some reason. But I'm going to have to look in the parts book and find out if all this is correct, because I thought by this time, by 71, BSA had moved on to a more standardised selection of nuts and bolts, but I may be completely wrong. Right, so it says tap gently out. So let's get a gentle tapper. My trusty plastic hammer should do. Not going anywhere fast with that, are we? Let's try from the other side. There's no strain on it. There we go. Shedding bits of plastic on the way. Right. Okay. I think I'm going to have to use a soft drift of some sort in there. Let me go and find something. Well, it's not soft, but it is blunt. So, it also clearly very slippy. Try again. This time without dropping it. But it is blunt, and I don't think it's going to take much tapping. No, well, it doesn't. I'll just pull free from this side. Oh yeah, sure. It's meant to just pull free from this side. Nope. It's going nowhere. Let's see if that'll go any further. Yes, it will. How strange, it seemed to go loose and then tighten up again. Right, all these will be inspected later, so I'm just going to put them to one side just for the minute and wipe my hands. Should do an inspection of all the head components together. We'll just keep working to get this head off for the minute. Right, so we don't want bits falling down in there. So let's just tuck that in like that for a minute. So these should just lever out, I think, yes, and they will. Spring washer, plain washer, and there is a diagram in the workshop manual, so you don't get mixed up. Move the other one. Now then, this side has an extra washer. Yeah, stock. Very good. So that leaves us 4 bolts in the middle. There's another one right down in there, which I can barely see. So I think we'll take these off as well. Just makes life easier. Okay, that doesn't look the same as the other nuts. And it's not. No, that's peculiar. We've got different size locking nuts on the inlet side to the exhaust side. So somebody has been in here moving things about, because that can't be original, surely. Again, I'll have to check the parts book, but I can't believe that can be right. It doesn't sound believable. Right, let's get this back off the shaft off as well. I'll keep them well separate on the desk until I get them bagged up, because I don't want any components getting mixed up. That would be rather awkward. Right, I'll just pop these out, bring it back, because it's exactly the same as the front, and you can catch me up then. Right, manual consulted. We've got to undo the 4 centre bolts. Just slacken them. I'll do them diagonally. The one that's hidden down in the middle of the tunnel, and then the outers, again slackening our way round as we go. So let's get on with it. Try the 4 centre ones. I would imagine these are tight, and I'm not sure I've got my strong arm here. Oh wow, they are tight. I haven't got my strong arm. Right, well let's try giving them a little tap and see if we can encourage them in the absence of anything else. Going to get in your way here slightly, sorry. Nope. Is that gone? Oh wow, tight, tight, tight. Oh, I must bring my strong arm back from my other little place of work. Right, I'm going to get in your way again, I'm sorry, there's no alternative. Right, I'm going to do the other 2. The one in the middle is going to be a problem, because I've got no choice to use a socket. BSA's drawn first blood. Now, this is a problem. Can I get in there? Casting's very shallow. Yes. Right. Let me turn you off while I try and find something to do the centre bond. Right, I've found a cheap, nasty extending ratchet which I used as part of a breakdown set because it extends a very long way out. So this should do the trick. Famous last words. Now, I've got to try and find another extension, I think. Yeah, different extension required. Right, I've got my strong arm from my other unit with a shorter extension, which will comfortably reach in there, get on top of it without struggling like the other one. I have in fact pre-loosened these and these simply because it's quite dull watching me just undo bolts. So basically they're all been loosened in pattern. All I've got to do now is be worked off. So I'll bring you back when I've removed them. The deep bolts gone, 2 front bolts are gone, 4 nuts have gone. These 2 bolts will not clear the frame. So they're loose, but they'll have to come out with the head. So I'll have to remember when I'm putting it all back together again that they've got to go in first. So hopefully now, with a bit of jiggery and some light persuasion, very light persuasion, we can get the head off. We don't guess. Okay. Maybe I should look in a workshop manual. Workshop manual consulted, and it helpfully just says pull the head off. So what's happening at the minute is this stud is contacting the underside of the frame before the head will clear the main through studs. I've just checked online in my brief absence, and it appears this is in fact a problem, and you've got to remove that stud. 1/4 inch stud, CEI thread, and I don't have any nuts. So it's all stop until I nip down to my local nut and bolt emporium and get a couple of nuts I can lock together and try and get that stud out. Really quite irritating and quite a stupid design fault, really. Presumably not a problem when this engine was fitted in the pre-oil and frame frames. Anyway, that's all I can do now, so it'll have to wait until I can get the correct nuts. Just before we move on, while we have a last dregs of the battery left, I'm just going to talk about what I do with all my bits, because you see me tear bits and pieces off the bike, and what I tend to do is work in chunks. So there's the head steady, the rocker cover bolts, the rocker cover grouped together, throttle parts, splitter cable grouped together, carburetor I had to take apart to get off the bike together, the other carb up this end, a few tools which I'll now move. So what I'll do now at the end of each chunk is these will all be bagged up separately. So all the rocker cover stuff will go together in a bag or a box until I get round to dealing with it properly, cleaning it and whatever else I'm going to do with it, you know, depending. Sometimes I have to paint things, the head steady bracket for instance. So each of these will now be boxed or bagged and put in a larger box system, which I'll show you later. And that's just how I run my projects. I'm not saying it's a great way to do it, but at least when I go back to things, when I want to put something on, everything in theory should be together as they came off. However, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So we'll see when I come to reassemble it just how well I've done. So as I mentioned earlier, there's still a tiny bit of battery left, so I'm just going to show you how I keep things together. So both carbs, all the parts associated with it, the throttle cable, the cables attached to the carbs, everything, fuel supply system is now all in one box, which can be carefully put away on a shelf until I'm ready to do something with it. I'll mark the box up as to what it is. I'll probably just mark it as fuel supply, so the next project, regardless of who or what it is, I'll put all the same bits in that again. So they are. Sorry to flog a dead horse, but I thought I'd show you anyway.